Imagine this scenario. It is 14 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The air is so cold it feels like broken glass in your lungs. You have no heater, no electricity, and no cozy cabin waiting for you. There is nothing but a thin, fragile layer of nylon separating your warm skin from deadly hypothermia. By all logic, anyone sleeping out in these conditions without high-end gear should be freezing. Yet thousands of homeless people survive these brutal nights every single winter. Why aren't they freezing to death? What do they know that the so-called survival experts, with their $1,000 gear lists, aren't telling you? It turns out, someone sleeping rough with just $30 worth of mismatched thrift store equipment is often warmer, safer, and more comfortable than you have ever been in your expensive $300 expedition tent. They haven't just learned to survive, they have mastered the art of staying alive using nothing but street smarts and basic physics. Today, we are going to break down the genius, battle-tested hacks that keep people alive when the world assumes they should be dead. Here is the first secret, and it might make you angry if you just bought brand new gear. Your expensive single-layer tent is essentially a death trap in freezing conditions. You are lying there, shivering uncontrollably in your $300 shelter, while a guy down the street with gear from Goodwill is sleeping like a baby. What is his secret? It's not magic. It's insulation physics. Homeless survivalists have figured out the exact same principle that engineers use for double-pane windows. The strategy is incredibly simple but effective. Create a dead airspace. They take two cheap beat-up tents, often found for pennies, and set up one inside the other. The goal is to create a gap of about 6 to 12 inches of dead air between the inner wall and the outer wall. That invisible barrier is your lifesaver. The freezing wind slams against the outer tent, but cannot touch the inner sanctuary where you sleep. The result? A temperature difference of 15 to 20 degrees warmer inside, powered by nothing but your own trapped body heat. Think about the math. A beat-up family tent might cost you $20. A cheap single-person tent to go inside it? Maybe $10 for a total investment of $30? You have created a shelter system that scientifically outperforms those $100 specialized winter tents. If you don't have two tents, don't worry. You can achieve a similar effect by suspending a heavy tarp about 8 inches outside your tent walls. As long as you trap that air, you get measurable, life-saving warmth. Winter mountaineers pay hundreds of dollars for double-wall tents that use this exact principle, but you can hack it for the price of a lunch. However, even with the best walls, most people make a critical mistake. They forget about the ceiling. Thermodynamics teaches us that heat rises. In a standard tent, all that precious body heat you are generating floats straight up. It hits the cold nylon and vanishes into the freezing night sky. This brings us to hack number 2. Stop hemorrhaging heat through your roof. Your body is a radiator, pumping out warmth all night long. If you don't trap it, it's gone forever. The solution used by the streets is genius. Hang a reflective surface from your ceiling. Boom. Suddenly, that heat hits the shiny surface and bounces right back down to you like a warmth boomerang. You can gain 10 to 15 degrees of extra warmth just by using a $2 emergency Mylar blanket. Here is the pro technique. Make sure the shiny side faces you. Always attach it 2 to 3 inches below the actual tent ceiling, using safety pins, binder clips, or even duct tape. That gap is crucial because it lets air flow and prevents the blanket from conducting cold from the tent fabric. And here is the hidden bonus that survivalists love. This hack fixes the nightmare of morning condensation. Usually, your breath creates moisture that freezes or drips onto your sleeping bag, making you wet and cold. The reflective barrier catches those drips before they can soak your gear. Commercial tent liners that do this cost $40 or $50. The do-it-yourself version costs $2 and performs almost identically. Just slab it over your head and torso area. Maximum benefit for minimum effort. But here is the terrifying truth that catches most people off guard. The real enemy isn't above you. It is right underneath your spine. We move on to hack number 3, defeating the heat vampire. The ground is a relentless, infinite heat sink that drains your body warmth 25 times faster than the air does. You could have the best sleeping bag in the world, but direct contact with the frozen earth will suck the life out of you faster than a teenager empties a refrigerator. If you lie on the ground without protection, you are essentially lying on a giant block of ice that never melts. So, what do you do when you can't afford a $50 thermal foam pad? You turn to trash that is actually treasure, cardboard. It sounds too simple to be true, but seasoned street survivors know that 4 to 6 layers of flattened boxes under your sleeping bag can save your life. Look closely at a piece of cardboard. Those tiny corrugated channels inside are trapping air, and that is insulation. In technical terms, it provides an R value of roughly 2 per inch, which is remarkably similar to the expensive foam pads sold at outdoor retailers. The difference is, cardboard is free. The gold standard here is refrigerator boxes because they have thicker walls and last for weeks. But there is a secret technique to the arrangement that amateurs miss. You need to layer them with the corrugation running perpendicular to each other. One layer goes north to south, the next goes east to west. This creates a matrix of strength and air pockets that resists compression. However, there is a catch. Your body releases moisture all night long, and wet cardboard equals zero insulation. The fix is simple. Place a plastic sheet or even trash bags over your top cardboard layer to create a moisture barrier. A proper setup like this can raise your sleeping temperature by a massive 20 degrees. That is the difference between an uncomfortable night and a dangerous medical emergency. Just remember to replace the bottom layer weekly. Think of it like rotating crops on a tiny cardboard farm. If you can't find cardboard, look for bubble wrap. Yes, that stuff you pop when you are bored. Dumpsters behind shipping stores are often overflowing with it. Lay down a few thick layers, and you have created ground insulation that rivals $40 camping pads. The air trapped in each plastic bubble does the heavy lifting, keeping you suspended above the freezing earth. Even styrofoam coolers work if you break them into flat chunks and layer the pieces. Fish markets throw these away by the dozen. They are free, ugly, and incredibly effective. Carpet samples from flooring stores, stacked 5 high, or even crumpled newspapers stuffed under your padwork on the same principle. Trapped air is the best insulator. Now that we have secured the environment, let's talk about the engine. Hack number 4. Your body is a furnace, and you are likely wasting its potential. First, look at your posture. Sleeping curled in the fetal position isn't just about comfort. It is a survival tactic. By tucking your knees to your chest, you cut your exposed surface area by 40%. You transform from a heat-radiating billboard into a compact ball of warmth. But here is a piece of black magic knowledge that street-smart survivors use. Most gas stations have hot water taps. Before bed, fill a sturdy water bottle with hot water, wrap it in a sock, and shove it right against your groin. This sounds strange, but it is medically brilliant. Major arteries run through your groin area. By heating the blood there, you are essentially creating a central heating system for your entire body. That warm blood flows down to your freezing toes within minutes. This works far better than putting heat sources at your feet. Speaking of heat sources, let's talk about hand warmers. Most people put them in their pockets or hold them. That is a waste. Stick them in your armpits or on your groin. These are areas where major blood vessels are close to the skin. Warming the core distributes heat everywhere else. It is about working smarter, not harder, but a furnace needs fuel. Your body doesn't run on air. It runs on calories. Actual food is what generates heat through the process of digestion. But not all food is created equal for survival. Complex carbohydrates create a slow-burning warmth. Think oatmeal, pasta, or rice. Your metabolism has to grind through them for hours, pumping out steady heat while you sleep. Simple sugars give you a quick spike and then a crash, leaving you colder than before. Going to bed on an empty stomach and freezing temperatures is dangerous. You need that fuel in your belly to maintain your core temperature through the darkest hours of the night. Now, let's look at a piece of technology that costs $2, but uses science developed for space exploration. I am talking about emergency blankets. Those crinkly silver Mylar sheets might look like trash, but they reflect 97% of your radiant body heat back at you. However, most people use them wrong. They wrap themselves up like a baked potato, wake up soaked in sweat, and then freeze. The street-smart way to use them is to build what I call a heat sandwich. Place one emergency blanket underneath your sleeping pad, with the shiny side facing up to reflect heat back to your spine. Then, drape a second blanket over the top of your sleeping bag, shiny side down. Your warmth is now trapped in an infinite loop, unable to escape. The only downside is the condensation and the noise. To fix this, leave a small vent opening near your face, or wrap the Mylar sheet inside your sleeping bag liner. where your body movement is cushioned, silencing the crinkle. We have covered insulation, but we need to have a serious conversation about hack number 5, because getting this wrong will kill you. Every single winter, tragic headlines appear about people who brought the wrong heat source inside their tent. They fell asleep warm and simply never woke up. Carbon monoxide is the silent assassin. It is colorless, odorless, and absolutely lethal in an enclosed space like a tent. Safe options do exist, but you have to be clever. Candle lanterns are a classic for a reason. They produce a small, steady amount of heat without the massive gas output. Then there is the terracotta pot trick. You place small tea light candles inside a clay flower pot. The ceramic absorbs the intense heat from the flame and radiates it outwards gently for hours, acting like a thermal battery. Even simple chemical hand warmers are put into a sock and hung from the ceiling. They can radiate warmth for 8 hours with zero flame and zero risk. Battery-powered heated blankets are another game changer if you have access to a library or coffee shop to charge a power bank during the day. It is portable warmth with zero fumes. But listen closely. Propane heaters in a sealed tent are a death sentence. If you absolutely must use a fuel-burning heater, you have to crack that tent open for ventilation. Being cold is uncomfortable, but breathing cold air beats being dead. As the night deepens, your body enters survival mode. It becomes ruthless. When your core temperature drops, your body restricts blood vessels in your fingers and toes to keep your heart and lungs warm. It essentially throws the non-essential passengers overboard to save the ship. To counter this, you need protection. Mittens will always beat gloves because your fingers can huddle together, sharing warmth like penguins in a storm. Consider using vapor barrier socks. It is a 3-layer system, a thin liner sock, then a plastic bag, and finally a regular wool sock on top. The plastic traps moisture and heat close to the skin, preventing your sweat from soaking the outer insulation. Your feet might feel damp, but they will stay warm. Remember, frostbite can become permanent after just 30 minutes in extreme sub-zero temperatures. Another pro tip: tuck your hands between your thighs before sleeping. Your large leg muscles generate massive heat, acting like natural hand warmers. And never forget your head. Your head and neck act like a chimney, leaking up to 40% of your total body heat. A balaclava that covers everything except your eyes is essential. It patches almost half your heat loss instantly. Finally, you must master the timing. Your body temperature naturally drops while you sleep, hitting its lowest, most dangerous point between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. This is the danger window where most cold weather emergencies happen. Do not wait until you are cold to layer up. Climb into your sleeping bag fully dressed before the shivering starts. Once you are shivering, you are already losing the battle because you are burning precious calories just to generate friction. Get your bathroom trips done before bed, no exceptions. Holding it in actually requires your body to burn energy to keep that fluid warm. Some survivalists even set a silent vibration alarm for 3 a.m., not to wake up fully, but just enough to wiggle their fingers and toes, checking that everything still has feeling. 30 seconds of awareness in the dead of night can save your extremities. Then, the sun rises. Within the first hour of daylight, the temperature inside a tent can jump 30 degrees as the fabric acts like a greenhouse. Many homeless individuals time their deepest sleep for this dawn window. They stay semi-alert during the dangerous freezing night hours and crash hard once the natural warmth arrives. It is about working with nature's schedule instead of fighting it. This is battle-tested knowledge. It comes from people who bet their lives on these techniques every single night. These are hacks born from desperation, developed by people society often walks past without a glance. But their wisdom, their understanding of physics and physiology, could one day save your life. The next time you see someone sleeping rough in the dead of winter, don't assume they are clueless. They know things about survival that most of us will never learn, things that separate being cold from being dead. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe before hypothermia does its thing.